Amara was born in a wealthy family in a small African village where social status meant everything. Her father, a successful businessman, was respected in the community, but her stepmother, Olivia, was the true force behind the family's social standing. Olivia was a woman of high ambitions, always ensuring that Amara presented herself as the perfect daughter, worthy of marrying into an even wealthier family. In Olivia's eyes, a good marriage was not about love, but about power, influence, and maintaining their high status. She constantly reminded Amara that she had a responsibility to the family, pressuring her to consider suitors from wealthy backgrounds. What Olivia did not know was that Amara had already given her heart to someone she could never approve of. Tariq was a humble gardener who worked on their estate, tending to the beautiful flowers and lush greenery surrounding the mansion. He was quiet, hard-working, and kind, qualities that had drawn Amara to him over the years. Unlike the men her stepmother introduced her to, Tariq never saw Amara as a prize or a status symbol. He treated her as a person, someone with dreams and desires beyond the expectations placed upon her. Their love blossomed in secret, hidden behind the towering walls of the estate and the watchful eyes of Olivia. Amara found solace in stolen moments with Tariq, meeting him under the shade of the old baobab tree or sneaking out late at night to whisper about their future. It was a love that defied everything her family stood for, yet it was the only thing that made her feel truly alive. Despite knowing the consequences, Amara made a bold decision. She married Tariq in secret. The wedding was simple, held in a small clearing near the river where the villagers often gathered for celebrations. A local elder blessed their union, and a handful of Tariq's closest friends stood as witnesses. There were no lavish decorations, no expensive gifts, just the pure promise of love and commitment between them. Amara had never been happier, but she also knew the weight of the secret she carried. Every day, she lived a double life. At home, she was the obedient daughter, nodding along as Olivia spoke about potential suitors and upcoming social events. She pretended to be interested, carefully hiding the small silver ring Tariq had given her on their wedding day. But as night fell, she would find ways to escape, running to Tariq's modest home, where love, not wealth, filled the air. As time passed, the pressure from Olivia intensified. She had set her sights on Marcus, the son of a wealthy landowner, as the perfect husband for Amara. He was everything Olivia wanted: wealthy, powerful, and eager to expand his family's influence. Olivia began arranging dinners and gatherings, forcing Amara to attend. Amara, torn between duty and love, played along, knowing that one wrong step could expose everything. The weight of her secret grew heavier. Olivia was sharp, always watching for signs of disobedience. Any small misstep could unravel the life Amara had built with Tariq. She lived in constant fear, knowing that if the truth ever came out, Olivia would stop at nothing to destroy their love. But deep in her heart, Amara believed that love, no matter how forbidden, was worth every risk. The ceremony was small, hidden away in a quiet clearing near the river where villagers often gathered for celebrations. Amara wore a simple yet elegant dress, nothing like the extravagant gowns her stepmother would have forced upon her for a grand wedding. Tariq stood beside her, his eyes filled with nothing but love and devotion. The village elder blessed their union, and a few of Tariq's closest friends bore witness. There were no lavish decorations, no gold, no diamonds, just love and whispered vows under the moonlight. For the first time, Amara felt free. This was her choice, her happiness, untainted by wealth and status. But even as she held Tariq's hand in hers, she knew this was just the beginning of a dangerous game she would have to play. By day, Amara was still the wealthy daughter of a businessman, a poised and graceful woman attending high society events. Her father and Olivia never suspected a thing, believing her silence to be obedience. But by night, she became a wife, one who belonged to a man the world would never accept for her. She returned home after the wedding, slipping through the grand entrance of the mansion with an invisible weight on her shoulders. The home that once felt suffocating now felt like a prison. Every room was a reminder that she was living a lie, forced to act as though she was still available for marriage, when in reality, she had already given herself to the man she loved. Olivia, as always, was relentless. She paraded Amara around like a prize, introducing her to wealthy suitors at every gathering. She arranged dinner parties and social outings, forcing Amara to smile and engage in polite conversation with men she had no interest in. Marcus, the son of a wealthy landowner, became Olivia's latest obsession. He was charming in a calculated way, confident in his wealth, and oblivious to the fact that Amara's heart already belonged to someone else. Olivia made it clear that she expected Amara to accept his proposal when the time came. Every moment spent at the estate was exhausting. Amara had to be careful, ensuring she never slipped up. A misplaced smile, a lingering glance, even the way she hesitated at the mention of marriage could raise suspicion. Olivia had a sharp eye, always looking for signs of disobedience. The pressure was suffocating, but Amara had no choice. She had to maintain the facade of being single, knowing that if her secret was ever discovered, the consequences would be unbearable. Despite the dangers, Amara still found ways to be with Tariq. She sneaked out when she could, meeting him in the quiet of the night. His small home, though modest, felt more like home than the mansion ever did. She cherished their moments together, but each visit reminded her of the impossible life they were living. Tariq, though patient, saw the toll it was taking on her. He held her close, whispering promises of a future where they could be together without fear. But deep down, they both knew that future was uncertain. The tension in the mansion grew. Olivia's persistence intensified, and Amara could feel her stepmother's gaze lingering on her more often, as if she suspected something was amiss. The walls were closing in, and Amara knew it was only a matter of time before the truth threatened to unravel everything. The pressure was mounting. Every day, Amara felt the weight of her stepmother's expectations pressing down on her like an iron grip around her throat. Olivia had arranged yet another grand social gathering at the estate, a lavish dinner party where Amara was expected to charm and entertain potential suitors. The guest list was filled with influential businessmen and their sons, young, successful men who were eager to marry into wealth. Olivia made sure to remind Amara of her duty, whispering in her ear before the guests arrived. "You are the face of this family's future. Do not disappoint me." Amara forced a smile as she glided through the event, greeting guests, nodding politely at the men Olivia had lined up for her. Her mind, however, was elsewhere. She was thinking about Tariq, about the simplicity of his world, the warmth of his hands, the way he looked at her as if she were the most precious thing in existence. The contrast between her life at the estate and the life she shared with Tariq was becoming unbearable. Tariq lived in a small rented apartment on the outskirts of the village, far from the towering estate Amara called home. His world was one of quiet struggle and hard work. He spent his days tending to gardens, laboring under the sun to earn enough to survive. His clothes were simple, his hands rough from years of work, but his heart was pure. Amara found peace in his presence, sneaking away from the suffocating walls of her mansion whenever she could. Their moments together were fleeting, yet precious. They would sit by the river, talk for hours under the stars, and dream of a future where they wouldn't have to hide. But Amara knew they were running out of time. Olivia was growing more impatient, her suspicions sharpening with every passing day. "You disappear too often," Olivia remarked one evening, her eyes narrowing. "Who are you meeting?" Amara kept her voice steady. "Friends." Olivia didn't look convinced. "Which friends?" "The same ones I've always had," Amara lied, forcing an air of nonchalance. Olivia studied her for a long moment before smirking. "I hope you're not wasting your time with nonsense, Amara. You have responsibilities." The unspoken threat hung between them. Amara knew what Olivia was capable of. If she discovered the truth, she wouldn't hesitate to ruin Tariq's life. As the days passed, Olivia's pressure became unbearable. She announced that Amara would soon be engaged to Marcus, the wealthy landowner's son. The news made Amara's blood run cold. "The arrangements will begin next month," Olivia declared, her voice firm. "This is what's best for you, for us." Amara wanted to scream. Instead, she clenched her fists, her mind racing. She had to find a way out. But with Olivia watching her every move, and Tariq unaware of the storm that was about to come crashing down on them, Amara had no idea how to escape the inevitable disaster that awaited her. Olivia's suspicions had reached their peak. Amara's constant disappearances, her lack of enthusiasm for Marcus, and the way she avoided serious discussions about her future had made Olivia restless. She tightened her control, arranging another extravagant gala and insisting that Amara attend with Marcus. "This is your chance to prove your loyalty to this family," Olivia said, her voice dripping with authority. Amara, trapped in a web of deceit, had no choice but to comply. Dressed in an expensive emerald gown, Amara moved through the grand ballroom, her face composed but her mind elsewhere. Marcus, charming and arrogant, stayed by her side, speaking of business, wealth and power, things Amara had never cared for. Every moment in that gala felt suffocating. But the real pain came when Olivia pulled her aside, whispering, "After tonight, I expect you to accept his proposal." Amara's heart pounded. She had to see Tariq. She had to tell him what was happening before it was too late. That night, after making excuses about needing rest, she slipped out of the estate, covering herself with a simple shawl. She hurried down the familiar paths, her heart racing with both excitement and fear. But Olivia had expected this. Just as Amara reached the edge of the village where Tariq lived, strong hands grabbed her arm. She spun around to see Olivia, her face a mask of cold fury. "I knew it!" she hissed. "Who is he? Who is worth risking everything for?" Amara's lips trembled, but she held her ground. "I love him!" Olivia's grip tightened. "Who is he?" Amara swallowed hard before whispering, "His name is Tariq, and he's my husband." For a moment, Olivia just stared, her breath catching. "You married a poor man?" she spat, her voice dripping with disbelief. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Yes," Amara said firmly. "I chose love over wealth. I chose honesty over greed. I chose him." Olivia laughed, but it was sharp, almost hysterical. "You fool! You have thrown your future away." Amara took a deep breath, her next words changing everything. "No, Olivia, you are the fool. You never even tried to see the truth." Olivia frowned. "What truth?" Amara lifted her chin. "Tariq isn't just a poor gardener. He's the son of a noble family who was betrayed. His father was once one of the wealthiest men in this region before his business was stolen from him. He was forced into poverty, and Tariq grew up with nothing but his integrity." Olivia's expression twisted with shock. "That's impossible." "No," Amara whispered. "It's the truth you never cared to see." Olivia stood frozen, her grip loosening on Amara's wrist as the weight of the truth sank in. The man she had dismissed as nothing more than a lowly gardener was, in reality, the heir to a lost empire. A family that had once stood among the wealthiest in the region before it all crumbled due to betrayal and deceit. "Tariq's father was a businessman like my own," Amara continued, her voice steady despite Olivia's piercing gaze. "But he trusted the wrong people. His partners turned on him, stripped him of his wealth, and left his family with nothing. Instead of wallowing in bitterness, Tariq chose to live a simple life, away from the greed and power struggles that destroyed his family." Olivia's lips parted, but no words came out. She turned her head, as if trying to make sense of it all. "And you knew this?" she finally whispered. Amara nodded. "I did. And it only made me love him more." Olivia's breath came in shallow gasps, her mind racing. For years, she had schemed and manipulated, ensuring Amara would secure a future of luxury and influence. She had paraded suitors before her, seeking the wealthiest, the most powerful. Yet, the one man she had dismissed was the very thing she had been searching for all along. She turned to Amara, her expression unreadable. Then why did he not reveal himself? Why live as a poor man when he could reclaim what was rightfully his? Because he never wanted to be valued for his fortune, Amara said, her voice firm. He wanted to be loved for who he was, not for the wealth that once surrounded him. He wanted a life of honesty, not one built on deception and greed. A bitter smile formed on Olivia's lips. And you believe that is enough? Amara stepped closer, meeting her stepmother's gaze without fear. Yes, because wealth can be taken away in an instant, but a good man's heart remains. Olivia let out a slow breath, staring into the night. For the first time, she saw her carefully constructed world cracking at the edges. The life she had meticulously shaped for Amara had been nothing but a mirage, one that could vanish like Tariq's family's fortune had. Her voice softened, almost hesitant. Does he love you the way you love him? With all his heart, Amara whispered. Olivia remained silent, her mind working through years of ingrained beliefs, struggling between her ambition and the undeniable truth standing before her. Olivia sat in quiet contemplation, staring out at the vast estate she had once ruled with an iron grip. Everything she had done, every decision she had made, had been in pursuit of power, influence, and financial security. Yet, for the first time, she questioned whether any of it had truly mattered. Amara's words echoed in her mind. Wealth can be taken away in an instant, but a good man's heart remains. The revelation of Tariq's true identity had shaken her deeply, not because of the fortune he had left behind, but because of the choice he had made, to live humbly, with integrity. And despite all her efforts to control Amara's future, her stepdaughter had found love on her own terms. Days passed, and Olivia observed Tariq from a distance. She saw the kindness in his eyes, the unwavering respect he had for Amara, and the quiet strength he carried despite his humble circumstances. He was nothing like the power-hungry suitors she had tried to push on Amara. One evening, Olivia finally called Amara to her side. She studied her stepdaughter carefully, then sighed. I don't pretend to understand your choices, she admitted, but I see now that they are yours to make. Amara's eyes widened in shock. Are you saying? I am saying, Olivia interrupted, her tone softer than it had ever been, that I was wrong to think money could guarantee your happiness. Tears welled in Amara's eyes as she threw her arms around her stepmother. It was the first time in years that Olivia did not push her away. A week later, Tariq arrived at the estate, not as a mere worker, but as Amara's husband. Amara's father, who had been unaware of the marriage, listened in silence as the full truth unfolded. At first, he was resistant, his pride bruised at the idea that his daughter had secretly married a man he had barely acknowledged. But as he spoke to Tariq and learned about his past, his resistance melted into quiet admiration. You could have reclaimed your fortune at any time, he said. Why didn't you? Tariq smiled. Because I wanted to be more than just a name attached to wealth. I wanted to build something real, something earned. And now, with Amara, I have everything I need. For the first time, Amara saw respect in her father's eyes. With the truth out, Amara and Tariq began a new chapter. Free from secrecy and fear, they built a life together, one that was not defined by wealth, but by love and mutual respect. Olivia, though still adjusting, found herself softening in unexpected ways. She no longer viewed Tariq as a threat, but as a man worthy of her stepdaughter's love. As Amara stood on the balcony one evening, looking at the life she had fought for, she realized something profound. True happiness was never in wealth or social status. It was in love, in honesty, and in the courage to follow one's heart. And in the end, that was what truly mattered. Amara stood at the edge of the estate's vast garden, her fingers intertwined with Tariq's. The air was warm, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine, a reminder of the simple joys she had once overlooked in pursuit of meeting society's expectations. She glanced at Tariq, who had always been her safe haven, and knew without a doubt that she had made the right choice. In the past, she had struggled with the weight of her family's expectations, torn between duty and love. She had feared disappointing her father, had dreaded Olivia's wrath, and had almost convinced herself that love and wealth had to go hand in hand. But now, standing beside Tariq, she saw things clearly. True love was not about riches or status. It was about the unwavering strength of the heart, about choosing a person for their kindness, loyalty, and integrity rather than their bank account. And despite all the challenges, all the fears, she had followed her heart. Tariq, too, had transformed. Once hesitant to reveal his past, afraid of being judged or used for his wealth, he now stood confidently, embracing both his humble present and the noble roots he had once left behind. He no longer needed to hide, for he had found someone who loved him for who he was, not for what he owned. Olivia, though still adapting to this new reality, had softened. She no longer pushed Amara toward wealthy suitors, no longer clung to the belief that money was the only path to security. While she would never admit it aloud, she had come to respect Tariq, not because of his hidden fortune, but because he had proven to be a man of true worth. Amara's father, too, had seen past his initial pride. He had always believed in building a strong, respectable family, and now he understood that wealth was not the foundation of such a family. Love, trust, and resilience were. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Amara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her old fears finally lift. She had fought for her happiness, and she had won.